functions, if functions in JavaScript. Sometimes you may find you are writing some code and then you don't want the code to execute all the time. You want the code to execute at specific times when a certain condition is met, and maybe the condition is just one. Like for example, you may want to print something like welcome if somebody's age is greater than 18, and maybe access denied if the age is less than 18. So let's see how you can do that using the if function. So I will open my studio. I'll open my studio Visual Studio Code, and then I just pick one of the files that I have here just to demonstrate that. So let me pick which file, or rather, let me just create another file here, call it sample.html. So as usual, the boilerplate template for HTML, sample if functions. Then now, of course, script so that you can write our code here. So at this point, you may want to ask the user to enter their age. Enter age, enter age, and then now we store that age in a variable. We can call it maybe age. So variable age equals what the user will type. Then we can now make a decision based on this age, like if into brackets, curly bracket. So here we say if that age is greater than 18, then now here we can do something. We can print something on the screen. We can say welcome. You can say welcome, something like that. Then we can have an else clip here. So remember, else does not have this opening and closing bracket. So you just say else, then now the statement curly brackets. So you can now have another alert, another alert, and then something like access denied, something like that. So let's test this. Open, enter age. If you say 2, access denied. Run it again, 45, welcome. So that is a simple application that is making decision when a user enters their age. So we can try again, maybe a more complicated application that makes maybe other decisions. Like for example, we can now come in here and continue asking for other things. Yeah, at this point you can ask maybe for age, for location, or you can ask for another thing. Now sometimes you may want to make a bigger decision with a variety of items. Like for example, here you have something like if a student enters mark between 80 to 100, then you want the system to comment something like uh, uh, excellent. If a student enters marks between 70 to 80, then you want the system to say something like very good. If somebody enters marks between 60 to maybe 70, you want the systems to say good. And maybe if somebody enters marks between 50 to 60, then the system maybe will say something like average. So, and maybe if somebody enters anything less than that, anything less than 50, then the system says fail. So this you can achieve it using the if function again. So you just need to come and say, let me comment this so that this code won't execute. So here you can come and say if into brackets, then the curly brackets, of course. So we start with the first part, but again we may need first to ask the user for the max. So var max equals prompt, then we tell the user to enter the enter max. So we play around with now what the user is typing. So if max is greater than or equal to 80, then now we can tell the user something like, you can have an alert telling the user good, no, excellent, sorry, excellent. And then we have another else here and say else. Of course, now this time around the condition is proceeding, so we are going to have an else if max is greater than or equal to greater than or equal to 70. Then again is the condition, there's the statement printing something like very good here, very good. Another else if another condition, of course our max again greater than or equal to 70. Then now we tell the user using an alert, we tell the user good. Oh, sorry, this is greater than 60. Tell the user good. And then another else if into brackets max greater than or equal to 50, then average, that is the output using an alert. Then we tell the user average performance or something like that. And then we can have an else statement. We can have we can still have an else if this else if is about now when max less than or equal to less than 50, because equal to is already defined on top here, greater than or equal to. So here we say less than 50. So if somebody enters max less than 50, then we can tell the user uh, fail, something like that. Then maybe for any other thing the user might type, we can have just an else without the if part and print something like invalid. We can print something like invalid. So at this point you can tell the user alert entry invalid entry. So this takes care of our application, the user's input. So run it and see what you're getting. Enter the, which one is this? No, oh yeah. So I think the order code seems to be executing. Let me confirm whether I really commented it. Oh yeah, I didn't comment this one. So let's go back there once again. Enter max. If somebody enters max like 78, we're expecting very good. If somebody enters max like 45, we're expecting fail. If somebody enters max like let me say some invalid text, we are expecting invalid entry. So that is okay. So maybe you can practice that. If you want, you can still put this in a looping program that now keeps prompting the user to do something, and then now uh, it makes a decision based on what the user has typed, until when the user will type some funny characters, then that is when now the whole of this code will not run. Remember what we did on loops. So you can put all these things in a looping program that if the user types something that doesn't make sense, then it crashes at that point and stops. For now here, you can have you can also limit the upper range by maybe just saying if the max is greater than 80 and so we say and max less than or equal to 100, meaning you are combining now you are creating now a range of the minimum number and the maximum number, so that if somebody types 101, then of course now it doesn't work, it goes to to invalid. So like if I say 101, oh no, it is still executing. Let's see what's up. If max is greater than 80 and max is less than 100. Yeah, so excellent. Let's see 101. Yeah, so at least now the code is no longer executing the scope of excellent. So we can now include now another limit here by having now the ant max less than or equal to, no, less than 80, the upper limit now, greater than or equal to 70 but less than 80. Then we also do that now for the rest of the conditions, greater than or equal to 60 and less than 70, greater than or equal to 50 and less than 60, greater than or equal to 50 and less than 50 and greater than 0. Yeah, for the last one should be less than 50 and greater than 0, so within that range. Yeah, so then that makes it not to accept invalid figures. Yeah, that becomes an invalid entry. Thank you for watching. I hope you will practice. Asante.